Mafia, are you ready?
They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome to another Zoom edition of Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, and our guest today is Vic Dalishus. Vic, it's good to see you.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's great to see you, too. It's been too long.
Yeah. First time that we'll actually get to see you instead of just hearing the wisdom that comes from your mouth.
This is the first video podcast I think I've done.
There you go.
Yeah.
We stay doing first.
Yeah. Usually it's just audio. I didn't realize I was going to be on camera. Oh, shit. Yeah.
So,
what's
What
new?
have you been up to?
Well, just doing my Vic thing. Man, I've been on a crazy journey. It's been a crazy year for me. A lot of things had to happen for me to get to the person that I am right now, and that comes with a lot of good and a lot of bad. So I have a tremendous amount of perspective for everything that I've kind of been dealing with and gone through and stuff like that, and I'm ready for whatever it is that's going to be in the future. So last time I saw you guys when I was in Philly, I was commentating, right, for HOH.
Yeah, correct.
And I was doing pretty good right then and there, but what was that, like November last year?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So in January, last March, I got sober. I stopped drinking. I had a problem with alcohol real bad, and I was hiding it for a very long time in a variety of different ways. And it really spun out of control when I broke my leg because I was hanging on I'm not going to take painkillers. And look how tough I am. I shattered my fucking tibia into 15 pieces. And had to have 5 surgeries on it. So it's not like it was a walk in the park. And, it all culminated through that. Tried to force a comeback for something I wasn't ready for yet. My leg was not ready to wrestle, but I was trying to tell everybody it was. And as much as I pushed myself and tried, it needed time. And so I got sober last year and kind of went on a real personal journey of figuring out who I was and fixing a lot of things on the inside that I needed to work on. And then in January, I got real serious about getting in shape again. And right now I'm down 75 pounds. And
Damn.
I actually have muscles and I have abs, and I've never had that in my whole life. So I got just fanatical about it. And for the first time it worked. Because I've been a fat guy forever, so this is the first time it actually worked for me, where I was seeing results and it was happening fast. And right now we're just at the beginning of May. 5 months, 75 pounds is a lot, really fast. And to transform my body, I feel like I really tapped into what the nutrition was that I needed. It was the culmination of all the little training things and little advice I had gotten throughout my whole life, and I just put it all together, and I took out all the shit that I tried that didn't work, and I tried all the things together that did work. So intermittent fasting worked for me, so I wouldn't eat till 12 o'clock. And then I started learning about just what fasting does to your body, and then I started getting crazy. I was going 5 days without eating, and then I would eat for 2 days, and then 5 more days without eating. And I was learning about this stuff it's called apoptosis and autophagy, where your body purges dead, sick cells, gets them out of your body, creates brand new ones, so it allows your body to actually transform. And you can't do that until you stop eating and shut down your digestive system. It took me a super long time to even understand what the fuck that meant. And then you tell somebody who's a fat guy forever that he can't eat for 5 days, and you're like, what? And then to get to the end of 5 days and then want to do it again, I was like, am I going nuts? What is this? But it works for me. So, be where I'm at right now and still be like right in the thick of it. I still got about 25 more pounds to go for what my goal is and what I want to do before I like show anybody like what this all is. But you know, my legs never felt better. I every day I'm out and I'm hiking mountains and I'm climbing and I'm exercising. I got my fitness back. I got my passion back. I got my, like, all the things that I like lost along my way. I got it all back. So it's been great for me. I'm sure I'm talking too much, but
No.
Hold up.
Yeah, what's up?
So you're not getting into commentating shape.
No, I'm not getting into commentating shape.
So you're getting in ring shape.
Yeah, man.
You're playing for a comeback.
Yeah, there's no way that I can not do this. And I'm not, like, I figured I only have like one more chance. I'm 38. I'm gonna be 38. I'm gonna be 38 years old on May 12th, and I was watching me, like, I threw it all away for a long time. I wasted it. Where like I was in House of Hardcore. I had all of the people, all the connections, everything you could possibly want to make it, and I threw it away and I self-sabotaged and I got in my own way. And if this is a dream of mine, something I really wanted to do, I needed to be the right person morally. I needed to fix me. I had all that stuff going for me, and then I just self-sabotaged every time. I got in my own way. I threw it all away, and I got out of shape. I got fat. I got drunk. I got less caring. I didn't have right priorities. Didn't have goals. I was trying to like not have any accountability, not grow up and be a man. Like it was all those things, and it's a variety of different reasons for. I started in pro wrestling when I was 19 years old. I was a young kid that traveled across the country with grizzled veterans that made me drive, and I just was exposed to a crazy amount of things in the business. And it's not wrestling's fault. It's just the way it was at the time. And to go through this journey and not have a really good moral compass is hard, because you can give into vices, you can follow the wrong advice, you can prioritize things that aren't important, and it gets you off focus for what the goal was. And when I was a little kid, my goal was to do this. I wanted to do this, and all this other shit got in the way. And getting focused on it and getting ready to come back and do it for the right reasons. And one of the right reasons is that my kids have no idea who I am. They like know like a little bit, like Daddy does some WrestleMania and stuff, but like as far as like that's the only picture that's on the wall of my wrestling career. Like, they don't know anything about really anything I've done, and I'm not huge on like showing them videos of stuff in the past. So if they want to see what I did, I'm gonna have to do it for them live. I have to do it. So it's not like it's not the primary motivation. Some of its primary motivation is for me, because as an athlete, nobody wants their career to end up without their terms. And that's always the motivation to come back, because you never want to walk away when you could still do it. And I wasn't so sure I could still do it. When I talked to you guys at HOH at that time, like my leg wasn't feeling great, and I was just trying to like fake it. Like, yeah, no, I'm okay. But to know how it feels now, to know how it feels like when it really does feel good, is crazy that I was even trying it the other way. Like, that was kind of nuts. But to like really, like, once I dropped weight and worked on like range of motion and actually getting rid of the scar tissue that was in there, and like really working with myself to get better instead of just trying to like cut corners and like, oh, I can wrestle a match without running the ropes. How the fuck are you gonna wrestle a match without running the ropes and like be good at it? Like, nobody's gonna take you serious that way. You gotta fucking be able to go. So if I'm gonna do it, I gotta be confident that I can go with anybody as fast as they can, as good as they can, and be as good as they are. And throughout my whole career, like, I was always like a good hand. I was always a good wrestler, but I let my ego get in the way, and it cost me a lot of opportunities and a lot of different things, because people didn't want to work with somebody who was like that. And you got to fix that shit if you're really going to try and make it in this business, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, or you're not the right kind of mentality, it's just going to chew you up and spit you out.
I mean, especially nowadays when, I mean, wrestling's completely different right now, no pun intended, as opposed to what it was 19 years ago. Just like you said, even with the few stories that you've told, I mean, it was a kind of like punch you in the mouth type wrestling back then, where they're going to eat you up and chew you out physically. Like they're going to beat on you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even so much the physical part. Like I was actually cool with that. Like when you fuck up, they beat you up a little bit, or like all that stuff. Like the lessons you learned in the ring, like that's part of like the whole deal. But like driving across the country or driving across like 3 or 4 states, and like there always has to be a bottle of Jack Daniels between the seat, like the driver's seat and the passenger seat, and like you always have to be smoking or something. Somebody had to have pills. Somebody had to find a girl in every town. If you didn't hook up with a girl, you were the worthless one. You know, like it was just like I had gone from I didn't drink anything, like I never even consumed anything until I was 18 and a half years old. And then by the time I was 19, I was like full-fledged in with these grown-ass dudes partying. And I wanted to be that so bad and make it to WWE so bad that I was just going to follow the blueprint of what these guys are showing me because they'd gotten there. So if that worked for them, it's going to work for me. And it got me, you know, at the beginning, it got me really far. I got on WWE within a year and a half of me trying and got sent to OVW within 2 years. So it was like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep doing this because it's clearly working.
Your head was going this way.
Yeah, man. Like I barely had turned 20 years old, and I walked down the ramp at Monday Night Raw to wrestle Sean O'Hare. And it's like, how did I get here? Like, it's the power of, you know, having a dream and having visualization as a kid. And like every day, that's what I visualized. Like I was going to walk down that ramp. No doubt about it. And it was going to happen whenever the fuck I wanted it to. And right there, before all of the other shit got into my brain, I accomplished that goal. And then when I got to that goal, I let all of the other outside things take it away from me. Because at 19, 20 years old, and you're wrestling Sean O'Hare, and then the next night I wrestled Dave Danger in Albany and actually won a match. You know, the Fink announces, the winner of this match, Rob Begley. And I'm like, my parents were there. It was like, how could this be any better? This is fucking amazing. And then I went to the first OVW tryout camp, and then they loved me and they signed me and sent me down there. And now I'm in the farm system. How did I get here? Like, this is crazy. And it was all going so good until I got off course. You know?
So when you lesson learned, when you get off course too much, you end up looking like this.
Yeah. That motherfucker's way off course, son.
He's on his own island right now.
What's crazy about going off course is that you can still have a hell of an adventure as you're going off course. So it's hard to identify as you are in that path that it's happening to you. Because I still had cool shit that was happening to me. I was still doing cool things and still having great experiences. But was it what the original intent was, what it was the original goal was to get to the final accomplishment? Like, no, I didn't get there. And I could have failed.
The problem with that is that you going off course, but you're still kind of getting rewarded with cool shit. I mean, it still reinforces the behavior that you're still doing. So you're still going further downhill when you're still living what you still want to do.
Yes.
So if it
really great way of describing it.
If it would have crumbled back then, bright and early, it might have taken a completely different trajectory.
Completely. And
you can't live back then. You can't live like that. You can't live thinking that, oh, what if this would have happened then? And you just drive yourself nuts and stirs you further down the path you don't want to go.
Yeah, it's very profound that you actually have that perspective. And it's interesting because...
And I'm the idiot of the crew.
Well, God gave us the now in 2007, Hale and I, to be a team. And the actual key to happiness and success and all of those things in life is through living in the very present moment of now. And all the struggles and strife that I actually went through in my life, the answer to it all was right in front of my face all the time. From God, gave it to me. Literally, here, this is your gimmick. This is your thing. You ever haven't, any need to know how to get closer to me or how to figure anything out about who you are, live in the now, which is disconnecting yourself from a lot of other things and understanding who you are and living in the present moment, being grateful for it, loving all of the things that are around you, and then welcoming the next now moment. And you live a series of now moments and put them all together. The past isn't real. And I had to like have a conversation with my son to like really even like get that. But like describing memories to a little kid is like just as much as showing them a movie that you like or something. It's not something that they can live and experience. It's not real. It's
You'll never feel it.
Never. So the feelings that you have, they're not even real either, because you can't know, you're never going to relive it. It's never going to come back. It's never going to come back around. The only thing you're going to be able to feel and experience that's tangible is right now. And like really understanding that and like living in that and like being kind of freaked out that I had the answer to the question the whole time was like weird. Super weird, but it's really fun for me now because I can explore all of these other things and look back at some of the things I've even said myself as I was trying to tell people about our gimmick and what we were all about, that were actually like the keys to living a really fulfilling, happy life. Nuts. I don't know.
Yeah. And right now, that now gimmick would get over and be felt more in the present because people are more intuitive in that sense. Like they want to live for the present. They don't want to live in the past. So, I mean, you can appeal to a greater mass.
In some ways, it could be the key to connecting with the audience and being able to give them a concept of which they understand. I haven't been able to like grasp that on that level yet.
Those millennials will eat anything up. So you just put something profound in front of them. You guys will be the next freaking millennial gimmick.
Well, I agree with that, but the motivation behind that is what I struggle with, because when you put it that way, the motivation behind it is financial. And my personal belief at this point in my life is that my measure of success has nothing to do with money. I don't give a fuck about money. It has everything to do with fulfillment and experience and all of those things. That has nothing to do with money. So
you have a different bucket list. You have a list of things, not so much, all right, I want to get to the top of this company so I can make this much. You have more of a list of like, I've never really given this person my all, so this is the match I want to rehash. This is the place I want to do it in. This place, man. I let them down last time I was there. I want to give them the show. Maybe ECW Arena.
Yeah, man. And like letting my art speak throughout, like with my body, because when you use your body as your expression for everything and then you don't do it anymore, you're trapped inside yourself and you're struggling for a way to get it out all the time.
Mind's a powerful thing.
Yeah. And I feel like I have like something that I want to give back to the world, whether they appreciate it or not, through my art of wrestling. And I think that I can do that at a really high level and have like really strong connections with people going forward. And it doesn't matter to me that if I would make $1 million or sell 10 million t-shirts or any of that shit, that would be cool, because I guess it would solve problems. Like I wouldn't have to worry about shit. But when I say that too, like I don't even really worry about shit anymore. like it all gets taken care of in some weird way. Everything always works itself out. And that's a piece of advice that's come from Hale our whole careers. That's always been his perspective on things, is that, why are you freaking out about that? It's going to work itself out anyway. And it's just like, wow.
He's really got that laissez-faire attitude going for him.
But it's not so laissez-faire as much as he like really believes that and understands it. Like we'd be at times where like, we got to get new gear, and like, where the fuck are we going to get this money for new gear, man? Like we can't even eat. And they'd be like, I don't know. Money's just going to show up though. And like something would happen, and like sure enough, we'd figure out a way to make it go down. It was like,
meanwhile, the guy's driving in the mailboxes.
Yeah, you can't sharpen the sword from all ends, I guess. pretty crazy, man. So, like, I'm sure this is way more deep than you guys would ever want to get on this podcast, but it is cool to be able to like just chat and talk about some of the stuff that goes on inside my brain and not feel like a crazy person. Because
you know what? I mean, by whoever listens to this at what time or watches this, I mean, it's highly relatable. I mean, people don't always open up and talk. Like, this might inspire someone else to be like, you know what? I haven't talked to anybody. Someone's got demons inside of them. They're like, this podcast could be an outlet for them to step up and be like, shit. I mean, it can be done.
Well, it never crossed. It's not lost on me that my story is a very unique story that can probably impact a lot of people from all of the things that I've experienced and gone through. I have a pretty unique, interesting story. But somebody has to be in the right frame of mind to want to hear it.
Yeah.
And then they also have to be in the same frame of mind to want to change whatever it is that they're not happy with. And if listening to other people's experiences is something that helps you get to the point where you realize, I don't want to live like this anymore. I can be better than this. I want to feel like what that guy's talking about. I want to feel that. Then you know you're on the right path, like figuring some shit out, because that's what I did. And I was watching people like give like these speeches and stuff like that. And they would talk about these like feelings or like how they would be at peace or like what actually like feeling love on the inside of your chest was. And I was like, I don't fucking know what that is. like I say I do, but I don't really fucking know what that is. And like the more I like lived in the present moment and like took a deep breath and had some gratitude, like thought of something stupid I was thankful for, like, yeah, I the other day I made sliced pineapple on the grill, and I haven't had any fruit in 4 months, but I had a sliced pineapple, and I was like, I think this might be the most delicious tasting piece of fucking fruit I've ever had in my life. And I was just like super happy for it. And the rest of my night was fantastic. Like, there was nothing that could bring me down. I was in a good mood. I had a great feeling about it. Like, and that's a small, stupid example, but it's just how simple it can be, because you got everybody who's listening and everybody who ever has a breath in their body has a choice of how they can feel every minute. Even if you don't think you do, you do. You can choose any time how you feel, whether it's good or feel bad. And recognizing when you feel bad and, you know what, I feel like shit right now. I don't want to feel like shit. Go away. I want to feel good. It's actually as simple as that. And you can just make shitty feelings and anxiety kind of go away if you're aware enough of them and able to talk yourself through it, which takes time and understanding and self-work. And when you're quarantined and you're at home doing nothing, I'm hoping that there's a lot of people who are doing some self-work, because it's a great time to do it.
You just cut a promo. I am envisioning you around the ring, in a ring right now, cutting that promo, but I'm envisioning this as a heel perspective of you telling people how to live, and you just getting booze rained down on you for telling people how to live. Dude, I think this is the now gimmick. This is the gimmick. You live in the now and you tell people to live in the now, and they hate you for it. This is it. And you preach this, the things that people don't want to hear at a wrestling show. This is your gimmick.
Well, it's very Daniel Bryan, green, crunchy,
Yes.
wooden build-esque. Yeah.
Yep.
When you tell people the thing that's actually the best advice, they have something called cognitive dissonance, where you want to shoot the messenger, where somebody tells you a good thing and it's so far beyond what your belief system is that you immediately vilify that person. That would definitely be with this.
You need either angel's wings or a crown or something, and have.
Well, my Vic has a crown of thorns on it, which always was on my gear, and I never knew why. Or when I used to come to the ring and act like Jesus, I didn't know why I was doing that. I just did it. Like, just to get a rise. And then to like think back and look at it all, it's like, yo, that's weird, man.
Got to get hell like a scepter or something. You come with angel's wings. You guys can be some sort of like crazy, like holier than thou.
I think it would bum me out real bad though if everybody fucking like was like, fuck that advice. like, yeah, I'm like legit trying to help you, and they just don't want it. Like, that's tough.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, that's like you being natural. That would come so easy. It would come so easy to you, and people would just. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like that gimmick people would hate because they hate being told how to live their life.
Very much so, yeah. They
But
just
I
like
feel
they
like it
hate
would
being
get
quarantined.
over in
Yeah.
front of a Philly crowd or a New York crowd like that. That would get
Well,
over.
okay, so let's dive into that just for like a half a second though. The reason that you're saying that is because you believe what I just said to you,
No, yeah, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you believe that I believe what I just said to you.
Absolutely.
So if everybody who cuts promos has that connection, we wouldn't be talking about the state of wrestling the way it is in. But if people actually believed what they were saying and were actually like believable as they were delivering their message, whether it's verbally or physically, then you'd have a lot more people that are buying into what you're saying. And you can inspire people.
Here's the thing about that, though. No one wrote what you just said for you.
Yeah.
You believed it before you said it.
Yeah. And I hope that somebody's paying attention to that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe some of these.
You can't, there's some things that like I've studied systems, okay? Like I know like systems and management for businesses and whatnot. And it's definitely smart to put your $1 billion company in a system and put people through a predictable system where all of the variables are already figured out and eliminated so you can make your money. I get it. If you leave performers up to their own devices to go out there and emotionally connect with the crowd, you can't control that variable. And WWE needs to control that variable because of the level that it's on.
You know, you let somebody go out there and just cut their promo, they're not going to connect with the crowd the same way. So just reading a story to a kid versus telling a story to a kid. All right, you ever sit there and, you know, you just freestyle shoot telling a kid a story versus where you read them from a book? They get distracted more easily. They look away more easily. They're not fully into the story unless you're like completely the characters, acting them out, pantomiming, changing inflection of your voice. But if you're just like reading a story, very different than telling a story from inside your heart, your brain, and things like that. So there's that the connection gets lost there because you're not believing what they're saying. And they don't want them to believe what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have a predetermined notion that, all right, well, this is all scripted, so you kind of knowing that you kind of tone it out from jump.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a certain person, unless you carry a certain weight on the microphone, like I don't know, a Randy Orton or a Kevin Owens or someone in that system, but you know has something to say and they know how to say it, or I don't know, like a Seth Rollins, like usually the top names you know have done it before and you've been intrigued before, or obviously Chris Jericho, someone that never seemed to ever be scripted. He always seemed like he talked what he was saying, he believed it 110%.
Yes, I agree. Even just like a little ad lib here and there, like somebody would say something to Jericho and he would like turn his head and like, shut your mouth, jerky. Or like some stupid shit, but like something like that, you're like, all right, well, at least he's like here and like responding to us and like he's living in the now. He's being present. He's part of the conversation with the fans. They respond to that when you like give them those looks or you like bring them in on what you're doing. Yeah, like it sounds like Jericho's promos aren't fucking pre-done, even though they are. You know, like that. So that's the art. That's why he's the best at what he does. And there's a lot of guys who are really missing that part of the connection, and they're struggling to figure out what it is, and it's authenticity, because everyone started to believe that the way to make it into professional wrestling was to create this outlandish, never before seen character, push the boundaries and do things that other people haven't done. And while I understand that and agree, some of the things that have already been done before were done to perfection and can be done again if you do it the right way. And what's old can be new again if you pay attention to it and present it the right way. So not being a student of the game and not doing your research and learning everything about this business, if you want to get into it and do it, and I just said this business like Triple H, what the fuck? If you want to get into wrestling and do this, you gotta know what the shit's about. You gotta like really be into it. And like I have a tremendous amount of like struggle internally with enjoying the product when I know that it's very predetermined, and I don't enjoy my professional wrestling that way. I don't enjoy the performance art aspect of it, although I appreciate and understand where they are coming from and what they are doing in regards to presenting that within the genre of professional wrestling. Version of wrestling that I like is when it's two people against each other, and I want to see who the badass one is that's going to come out of it. Like, I enjoy Brock Lesnar matches because when you put that dude in the ring and he fucking bounces his pecs and you're staring across from him and you put yourself in the position of looking across from that dude, like, that guy, you better fucking bring it if you're going to beat Brock. Like, and that just tells that story right there. But there's a lot of other dudes where you get in the ring and it's like, oh yeah, like, that guy's really going to beat that guy up. Like, you lose me on it. And I don't know if it, well, I do know. I know that that's me. I know that that's like my problem. It's not wrestling's problem. But I for a while, like, didn't know if I even wanted to do this anymore because I thought it had gotten so far away from what I liked about it that I didn't even want to participate. Like, when I broke my leg, everyone was telling me about the locker room, and everybody's, dude, all they do is play video games. Nobody wants to go out after the show. Nobody, like, it's like a real weird thing now. And it's, like, it's an evolving that way. So I was like, do I even want, like, I used to love that part of the camaraderie with the locker room and being around the other guys and stuff like that. But the whole world's changed in such a way that it's much more about your own journey. And like, I can kind of understand now why guys want to sit in the locker room and play video games, because there's a lot less distraction, a lot less bullshit, a lot less self-destruction, a lot less, chaos there. So it was taking a step back and seeing wrestling now and seeing where I could fit in for what I want to do, and how to take my particular skill set and make it make sense now, because I can't just go in the ring and, like, I'm the toughest dude around, you're never going to beat me. Like, that's not entertaining. And it's not even realistic. I'm 38 years old, somebody could kick my ass. But I like pro wrestling to be believable. Like, I love, like, Daniel Bryan matches. Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak was so good. Like, I could watch that match every single day. It was, the stuff was snug. The psychology of it made sense. You really didn't know, you really didn't know who would win, because you thought they could go either way with the story, and like everything about it I thought was so awesome. That's wrestling to me. Like, I love that. Like, I love the glitz and the glamour too, and the personalities and like the larger than life shit. But like, there's a time and a place for it too. Like, I really like to see wrestling. I enjoy wrestling matches. So I hate when people slap their fucking leg, man. It's just like, yeah, I just can't get past it. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you doing that?
I don't want to.
As fans, like, you guys watch, they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's been exposed so much that everyone now knows, and a lot of people have either accepted it. This is the way that the trend is going, and they're just like, whatever. And some people have the same mindset as you, and they're not happy that the business has been exposed and now everything's become too predictable and people are telegraphing all this stuff. Like, it wanted to be more of a – you're saying you want it to be more of a story told in the ring by certain move. Wait, we lose you? Where you go?
You're good. Keep going.
I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'll get back to what I was saying. So, yeah, it's tough. When you lose your train of thought, it's really hard to get back to what you were thinking. Basically, I mean, what I was going to get to before I sidetracked myself and whatnot is, do you think it's that way now? It's harder to cut a promo because it's harder to get in touch with a certain fan, because it seems like every single fan's perception and what they like is completely different from the next person. Like, when you're talking about basically connecting with a fan base through what you're saying and in the ring, that was pretty much it. That was pretty much the way that it was. And it was easier to grasp the fans' appreciation. But now everyone likes so many different types of wrestling styles that are out there. Do you feel like it's harder for everyone to like dial it in and be like, well, half these people are gonna like the flippy shit. Half these people are gonna like the leg slapping shit. Some of these people want to see a technical wrestling match. Some people want to hear the heel for 4 minutes before the match and only see a 3-minute match because they want to see the dramatics of it, the build up before the actual match. I mean, I personally like to see it all. Like, I like every part of wrestling. Like, I accept it for what it is and where it's going, but I also like to see a little bit of everything. I don't want to see anything die off, but the trend that it's going in, it seems like certain things are falling by the wayside.
Yeah, and as a like performer or being a part of the whole thing, you like you try to say like the way I do it the right way, or this is the best way to do it. And you have to open up your mind to like other styles, and it took me a long time to do that because I just liked one certain style. So I was like, well, that's the right way. And part of my training, like when I was trained by Rip Rogers and OVW, they would tell you that this is the right way. Everything else is the wrong way. So it's when you have that kind of programmed into you for a long time, it's hard to see and accept that there are other styles and things like that. But I do think it's important for people to remember that at a wrestling show, you can only get what the promoters give you. And the average fan has been spoiled because in an effort to make more money, the promoters have given you everything. They've thrown everything at you on every show. And you, as a fan, are conditioned to expect the singles match, the tag match, the women's match, the ladder match, the cage match, all of it all on the same show. When during this time where there is no wrestling and there is a time where we can reset everything, there should hopefully be some people who take a look at how they present their shows and how they want to recondition their audience to look at their shows, because the fans will only get to see what you give them. So if you give them everything, then that's what they're going to come to expect. And then you have to top yourself where you're lighting yourself on fire and you're throwing yourself off the roof and shit. Right now, people haven't seen any professional wrestling live, and it looks like it's going to be a little while before they get a chance to do that again. So they're going to be hungry to want to be out there and see it. And everyone's going to, the hungrier ones are going to want to try and go out there and steal the show every night. And that's definitely what's pushed the business to where we are, is because there are guys who are trying to steal the show every night. But like wrestling shows, when they were structured and put together originally, weren't meant for the guy in the first match to steal the show. The guy in the first match was there to go out, have a simple wrestling match, and the finish is something relatively simple to set the stage for the rest of the show. There aren't like crazy high spots or anything like that. So the way that the shows were structured, there was actually a formula that went with how you put a wrestling show together. So the very first match on the show would be 5 minutes. It would be mostly, the good guy does real well in the beginning. Then there's a cutoff spot, and then the bad guy gets on him. The good guy makes a comeback, gets a straight pin in 5 minutes. Yay. All right, the good guy won the first match. No going outside the ring, no climbing the ropes, no 10 punches to the head, things like that. So that way, later on in the show, they could do those things, and you could get a reaction when you're 6 or 7 matches deep. Right? Or in the first match, a guy goes in, whatever, shoots him off, hits a big backdrop in the first match in the show. And you're like, holy shit, that was some backdrop. Remember that up. Then you go all the way to the semi-main event. Guy goes for a backdrop, and there's a sunset flip. 1, 2, 3. Psychology there is that he saw the backdrop earlier in the night that somebody did. He saw it was coming, and he knew the counter to a backdrop. So when he came off the rope, saw that the backdrop was coming, did the sunset flip, and got the win. That's simple and old school, but it can work on a level of like, it has to be like brought up to 2020 version of that. But it can be structured in a beautiful storytelling way where every show that you put together is actually a novel or a book. And it can be different chapters in your book and then the end of it is the end of the book could lead to buy my next book. or it could be a fucking car crash, or it could be a mixture of 1,000 styles, or it could be performance art, or it could be all of those things. It really matters on how you want to promote it and what you want to do and what you like to see and all that shit.
So basically today's standard for what you just said would be someone hits the super kick and gets the pin in the first match, and then someone goes for the super kick in the fifth match and gets it reversed into an ankle lock and taps out.
Kind of, yes.
Yes. Or they go for the top rope Canadian Destroyer and he sunset flips it into a power bomb, and that's how that would be today's standard. It wouldn't be a backdraw, I'll tell you that much.
This is today's standard. The first win with a super kick, and the fifth match, the guy would go for a super kick and he'd put his hands up, and the guy would make a leg slapping sound and then roll him up with a schoolboy.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of old school, new school, and you brought up locker rooms and whatnot, who do you feel like, are there still such thing as a locker room leader? Like, is there still the grizzled vet and people still pay attention to that person? Or is it kind of like, this guy's old, he's out of touch, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and not really listen to what he has to say? Is there any leadership anymore? Or has the young wave of wrestlers that have flooded the scene, are they pretty much set in their ways? Or is there a mixture of both?
It's a good question. There's a mixture of both. There's, when you have a veteran in the locker room who goes out of his way to be disrespectful, which you've heard about, it's happened many times, then it's hard for other people who have a name or whatever in the business to try and give advice like that, because you've already proven with one veteran that he's not in tune with the times and giving shitty advice, or any guy who says he can't main event a show is fucking retarded. So I don't listen to that kind of somebody saying that like as a critique on a show. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm referencing?
Well, you broke up a little bit in there, but I get the gist of what you're saying. I mean, you're saying that basically if it happens once and some vet is a little disrespectful to a young guy, there's a lot more younger guys than there is grizzled vets, so word's going to spread through the young guys saying that this guy was an asshole, and then next time they get advice from the veteran, they're not going to take it because this already happened to them, and they're already predisposed to, all right, this guy was an asshole. I'm sure this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go out and do it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Did I lose you? I hear that.
I figured I got it.
Well, what you said is exactly right, though. There's been veterans who have ruined it for the younger guys to be able to go to them and ask that advice, to give sound advice. There's some veterans who have given like purposely the wrong advice, and like just to fuck with people. And it's like there's just been a slew of people who aren't necessarily the best stewards of the business to pass it on to the next generation. So the next group guys have to be cautious and careful, the young guys that are coming up, of who they go to for advice. And the biggest one I always hear is don't get advice from people who never made it. And I think I understand where that advice comes from, but I also really like to get advice from the ones who didn't make it, because I like to hear that story. I want to know why you didn't make it. I want to know what you did to get there and those mistakes that you made. Or maybe you don't even see them as mistakes. Maybe, there's a perspective that you can gain from however you hear from that person. I don't think a guy making it is the marker for whether they can give good advice or not. I don't consider myself as somebody who made it. Like, I don't think I made a name for myself, but I also had an 18-year career of matches in a variety of different arenas and aspects that I can bring a certain amount of understanding to the table for somebody.
It's all whether or not they're willing to listen at that point.
it's all about whether somebody wants to listen. So there's a lot of advice and a lot of things that can be passed down to the younger Jews, but they got to want to listen. They got to see that there's like ways that it can be better. The way that independent wrestling was headed before we went to the shutdown was like, how was it gonna, like, what was gonna top it? Like, what were we all gonna do? Like, there's guys that were getting signed. There was people that were getting pushed faster than they were ready for, and like it's just like it was a weird time in wrestling. And now all of the releases went down. There's not live events. There's the whole business completely changed. So it's an interesting time to be involved in this and try to like make this your career, because you don't know what the holds. But the best part about it is nobody does. Nobody's ever gone through this before. We're all walking a very unique journey right now. So the ones that are ready for it and prepared and like are doing the homework and studying right now and learning and training, getting their body in shape, when like it's time to run, they're going to be able to run. And then there's other guys who are going to rest on the laurels at the name they made for themselves before, and they're going to assume they can come back and do what they did before. And I hate to tell you, but the world is nowhere fucking near what it was 6 weeks ago in any way. There's no part of the world that is the exact same as it was 6 weeks ago. Everybody's going to have to change. Everybody's going to have to evolve. Everybody's going to have to get creative and figure out a way to connect. Like, that's all what it's going to be about for the whole rest of the immediate future. That's for sure.
I mean, I get that. I want to be the pessimist right now, but I don't want to be the pessimist, but I mean, I feel like it's going to go back to kind of how it was before there was no wrestling. I like when everyone was running shows every week. I feel like it's going to go back to the same formula that it was. As much as I'd like to see people switch it up and run different style shows and show a completely different aspect of wrestling that isn't normally seen, I think it's going to go back to the same formula that it was trending in. I feel like that people have gotten themselves over enough and whatnot, and they're staying relevant. I feel like it's just going to be a long ass pause, and it's just going to pick up kind of where it was. But you would know more than I would. But I feel like that's the trend that was going in is the trend that it's going to stay in.
I'm really trying not to like speak above our audience, even like come off the wrong way. But there are just things that are happening in the world that are far bigger than professional wrestling that are changing the world that we live in. And there is also an elevated consciousness of society that did not exist 6 weeks ago. And there's a variety of reasons that consciousness exists. And I bet that I could ask both of you if you feel it, and you're going to tell me you do. And we haven't even talked about it before. But there's just like an understanding of like there's things that are going on in the world. There's an evil that's out there that's being dealt with. Because if you guys all think that you're locked in your house now because of the virus, we have to have a whole different conversation. So
I think we're locked in our house for, I don't know. I don't want to go over our audience's head as well. So maybe we have this conversation in a different podcast universe.
Hold on, before we go any further.
It just has to do with all of it.
I want to stop it right here because we've gone so long. We need to make this a part 2. So let's stop right here, and we'll pick up with a part 2 with Vic Dalishus, and we'll continue this conversation.